Daf Yomi, Tractate Bava, page 109. A, top of the page, B'chayav, U'moso, etc. The Mishnah continues, if the father stated in his vow that his son may not derive benefit from his property in his life and in his death, then even if the father then dies, the son does not inherit from him, as the prohibition is still in effect. Instead of taking his inheritance, he returns his portion in the estate to his sons or to his brothers. And if he does not have sufficient funds to subsist without his inheritance, he borrows money in the amount of the value of his share in the inheritance, and the creditors come and are repaid from his share. Gemara. With regard to the halacha written in the Mishnah, that one who robs his father pays the principal and the additional 1/5 payment to the father's heirs, Rav Yosef says, Rav Yosef says, one may even put his money in a charity purse if he so chooses. Rav Papa says, and when giving the money, he must say, this is what was robbed from my father. The Gemara questions the Mishnah's ruling that one who robs his father must return the stolen item to others, even if he is the sole heir. Why must he do this? Let him forgive the debt to himself. As the heir, to whom payment is due, he should be able to forgive it. Didn't we learn in a Mishnah 103a that in the case of a robber who took a false oath, claiming to be innocent, and later admitted his liability, if the owner forgave him concerning the principal, but did not forgive him concerning the additional 1/5 payment, he need not pursue him to repay the remaining debt. Apparently, even the principal is subject to forgiveness, so why doesn't he forgive the obligation to himself? Rabbi Yochanan said this is not difficult. That mission is according to the opinion of Rabbi Yossi, who says that this obligation can be forgiven, while this Mishnah, ruling that a son who robbed his father and is his sole heir cannot forgive the obligation to himself, is in accordance with the opinions of Rabbi Akiva, who holds that this obligation cannot be forgiven. Rabbi Yochanan explains their respective opinions. According to the opinion that Rabbi Yosef, there is no difference if one to whom payment is due forgives the return of a stolen item to himself, such as is in the case of a convert who died, or in the case of the Mishnah where a son who robbed his father, who then died. There is no difference. If he forgives the return of a stolen item to others. In either case, he can forgive payment. And according to the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, there is no difference if the one whom payment is due forgives the return of a stolen item to others, and there is no difference if he forgives the return of a stolen item to himself. In either case, he cannot forgive payment. Rabbi Yochanan continues his analysis. And according to the opinion of Rabbi Yosef, the same is true, that the halacha would also be that no liability would remain in the case of the convert, even if he had not established the robbery debt as a loan, as the robber could forgive the obligation to himself once the convert died. And the fact that the Braita teaches its halacha in a case where he established it as a loan for the robber is to convey to you the far-reaching nature of the opinion of Rabbi Akiva that even if he established it as a loan for him, in which case it could be considered as though the robber had returned the stolen item and now had a standard loan debt. Nevertheless, the robber had no remedy until he will remove his stolen item from his possession so as to not benefit from his act of robbery. Rosh Hashanah objects to this interpretation of the Braita. If so, then according to the opinion of Rabbi Yossi Aglili, let the Mishnah on 103a, which indicates that one can forgive the principal payment of a robbery, teach us instead that the robbery victim can forgive the obligation to himself, and it would be understood that all the more so one can forgive the obligation to others. And according to the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, which Rabbi Yochanan explains to be the opinion stated in the Mishnah here, let it teach us that one cannot forgive the obligation to others. And it would be understood all the more so with regard to the robber, and he cannot forgive the obligation to himself. Rather, Rav Sheshet said that Mishnah and this Mishnah are both in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yossi Aglili. When Rabbi Yossi Aglili is saying that one can forgive the return of a stolen item, he meant specifically forgiving the obligation to others, but he cannot forgive the obligation to himself. The Gemara asks, but if that is the halakha, why did this one who robbed a convert, who subsequently died, acquire all that is in his possession? Because the convert established it as a loan for him, and henceforth it is no longer considered stolen property, but a standard loan debt. The Gemara offers a different explanation. Rava said that Mishnah and this Mishnah are both in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. When Rabbi Akiva says that he cannot forgive the return of the stolen item, he meant specifically forgiving the obligation to himself, as in the case of the convert, but he can forgive the obligation to others.